Welcome to the Sci-Fi Express Lane. Jeff Carroll here. All right, and I need a shave. Oh my God. Sci-Fi Express Lane. I express myself on things science fiction-ish, comic books, movies, and books. And today I want to talk about, I really want to just continue a conversation. I actually don't even know fully what my position is on this, but it's politics in comic books, politics in science fiction. I mean, politics in movies, how about that? It came up as a subject when I was talking to my man, I don't know if I even mentioned his name, but at my local comic book store. Let's start off with that, right? And we're multi-generational, right? So he's in college, he's a 20-something, and I'm double nickel-ish, right? So we were talking about why we both like comic books, why we both like talking to people about comic books, why we like the movies that are coming out based on comic books, and and how comic books got him into science fiction, and what the purpose of it is. I was also talking about my documentary, right? And damn, I turned it the wrong way. All right, pull over. So we talked about my documentary, and how that's gonna play out, right? And the purpose of that. And with the documentary, all right, that's better. With the documentary, it's called Why I Love Sci-Fi. And part of the reasons why I love sci-fi is because I love the escapism that science fiction provides me with, right? And I wanted to show how in my world I deal with politics. I deal with, even as a teacher, I'm thinking about where the future of our humanity is going, how are these kids going to survive? Like they're my students. I only teach English, but, these are the things that I think about, So when I go into a Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever, I don't have to think about that, right? I don't have to think about that. And it's total escapism. But does that, right, mean that I totally forget, or it's not, the world that I live in is not a factor? Heck yeah, it's still a factor, Politics, the world we live in is political, right? So, on down to Stephen Barnes' theories about black male expressions of love in the Marvel movies, where his theory is they never gave a black man Falcon, War Machine, Black Panther, not only a love scene, but a full-out love interest. Black Panther had an ex-love interest. And if you've seen Wakanda 2, or Wakanda, he didn't get it in the movie. He got in between the movie, So we never seen him in the bed. We never seen him fully embrace affection. And those are things that are interesting. But and Stephen Barnes believes that's political, right? So can you really leave out politics from these movies? From these stories? I remember reading Farnham's Freehold, and this was by Robert Heinlein, and he made one of my favorite science fiction movies, Starship Troopers. He played on race in his stories all the time, so we don't know if he's racist or he was just exploring, or at least I don't know. I have to Google it, right? But I do know Farnham's Freehold wasn't a racially fair book. It, portrayed that black people were going to take over the world and use white women as cows for their milk, and house for their babies, and they were going to eat white men, and that, at the time in the 70s, that was some real racist stuff, because people had all types of stereotypes and negative things that they thought about Africa. So something like that played on those negative stereotypes, so what do you call it? That book was crazy, so you wonder, we always talk about, the fairness that, what's the name of it? Star Trek has with, the world coming together to form Starfleet, and it's all balanced, but that's political. Even though it's balanced, it's political, who knows, I can't tell you. I just, what the future will definitely be like. Maybe it will be an Arab-dominated world. Maybe it will be a Chinese-dominated world. Maybe Star Trek gets it wrong, because there may be an imbalance of human species leaving certain species to dominate others in the future. Don't know, so maybe it's crazy to imagine it, equally distributed. However, they still had Captain Kirk. It's still, they still never had anybody other than the white man, piloting a starship until, decades later, so we'll see. We had Deep Space Nine, but he never have a ship, Homegirl, she was, I forgot what Star Trek she was on. She got her ship long into it, so I guess sexism, racism, all of that goes into these stories, and as much as we try to escape it, we can't. I know for me, is I say I'm escaping it, but that might just be escaping the gunshots, right, on the street, in terms of the stress of the world that I live in immediately. But the bigger politics of Columbus, the bigger politics of black people in the world, I'm fully engaged in. You think you're going to escape politics in one of my stories? It's in there. I don't deny it. I make sure that, whether it's focusing the story around a woman, balancing out racial tropes or responding to racial tropes. I mean, my first book, Thug Angel, I wrote Imhotep into it because I didn't like the mummy. And, it's deep into the story. It has, it's relevant to the story, but it's not a big factor. You know what I'm saying? And or it's not the central focus. But I made sure I made Imhotep a good person, and he's the scientist that creates my gargoyles, right? So, and they're created for a good purpose. So I ain't got time for all that extra wild stuff that they were putting out in the Mummy movie, where they're making this multi-genius a bad person. So yeah, there's politics in it. Harlem Shake. The reason why I did that story the way I did it is because I really want black people to think about planning for the future. I mean, that's a form of politics. We see a lot of white post-apocalyptic stories, and the white guys is prepared for it, and maybe that's reality, right? But fiction doesn't have to, deal with 100% reality, because it's fiction. So you can write things that you would like to see happen, and one of those for me is black people, preparing for the future. So anyway, I don't know. I just think it was an interesting conversation. How do you use science fiction as escapism, and yet you can't escape it because everything is political. That's crazy. You know, my favorite book, Zorro, A Tale of Alien Adventures, is a story of black aliens, you know, and why I like it so much is because I, at the time, never seen a story with black people from outer space. You know, the only one I'd seen up until then was Brother from Another Planet. And this dude was running from slavery on another planet. So that's crazy, you know? So it may be a form of escape. I used to tell people, if you ask me, like, Zorro felt like reparations on every page. Every time I turned, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, and it wasn't killing white people. It's not the story that, you know, probably a white person would think a black person would write. They come to Earth bringing humanity. They come to Earth equaling out the apartheid in South Africa. That was what was going on at the time. But that was one thing they thought they brought. But, you know, to a black person, that means everything. You know, let's get rid of racism. What? Holy moly. Racism is almost bigger than poverty for black people. You know, I know people want to say, hey, you know, poverty affects more people, healthcare, but sheesh, for a black person, racism is annoying. That's probably the biggest problem. So that story resonated with me because of the politics of it, and it was subtle. So I don't know, maybe something that we don't like about politics, or something that, you know, I don't know. Dudes are still running that light. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I know even in Daredevil, the Netflix show, they had a character on there like Donald Trump, you know, and that was the Kingpin. And I liked it. I even liked the fact that it was Donald Trumpish, you know, because he's a character. He's a mogul in New York, you know. So I don't know. I mean, Captain America, he fought Hydra, and Hydra, you know, is like the Nazis, you know. And I mean, all these Jewish creators, they didn't hide the fact that they was going after the Nazis in their stories. Same thing with Star Wars, right? They don't deny that. You know, I don't know what type of politics, you know, I have to think about that. What type of politics do we not want to deal with? Maybe politics that we don't agree with? You know, but that doesn't mean we don't want to deal with politics in our stories, because if it's politics we agree with, then fine. You know, so I don't know. There's a story a movie on, I'm going to say Netflix, but I'm not sure. You know, can't remember the name of it because I don't know if I want. I don't think I want to see it. Right? It's about a group of white women who have a reunion party, and then they build on their racism and go after an immigrant Mexican family, and they do some horrible things to them in their house in the name of going off to do good, like welcome them to the community. And then when they get in there, they turn into some evil Karens and stuff. So I don't know, you know, maybe somebody likes that. Maybe somebody was like, yeah, you know. So I don't know, but that was an interesting question. Politics in comic book science fiction. I think the better it's done, the more, the better it is. And I think that's what makes it resonate with people. You know, I like V for Vendetta. I think some of the ones that I like the most are stories that politics I agree with. You know, I think, you know, I don't know. I mean, I really like Serenity, Star Wars, Starship Troopers, but I don't necessarily like the hero story of Luke. You can keep that trash. You know, I like Rogue One. revolution. You know, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I like that revolution. I was thinking of mixing some of my revolutionary experiences in with what do you call it? One of my stories. So maybe I'll do that. You know, talk about how it was to be in revolutionary meetings and planning marches and leading uprisings. I ain't doing no dang on Che Rivera. You know, what do you call it? Fidel Castro type stuff. However, you know, and black people in America is, so we ain't do that. You know, even the Black Panthers never went on an outright assault of the power structure. So maybe if we do anything like that, it could be what leads up to something bigger. All right, but anyway, that's me. I'm out. Love the new studio. Got me a new car, new pre-owned, and I'm loving it. So like, subscribe, share, and